How should Lamar Jackson feel as we make a hard right turn? How should Lamar Jackson feel about the general manager's comments saying, look, we might draft a quarterback in the first round?
I mean, he should be mad. He should feel disrespected. Draft a quarterback then. Waste the first-round pick. Do it. Who?
Is it a waste?
I don't know. How you feel good about what they're going to get at 21?
I don't know. Do I feel good about Lamar Jackson being the quarterback of the Ravens for a whole lot longer?
Is Lamar leaving of his own accord? Because he's got to be traded in order for that to happen.
Answer with another question, because the question's back and forth without answering.
But here's the thing, though. There are a lot of questions in this situation. It felt, that press conference was very weird also. It was like they were under oath or something. The PR got diving in. No!
Yeah, right.
Leave it to the PR staff. No, stop.
Don't answer that.
You can't ask those
No
questions.
Lamar Jackson questions. Don't say his name. It's weird. Like, what are we doing? This is the face of your organization for the past 5 years. Relax. Just get the deal done, or don't. But it's so messy now. You go into the draft. After the draft, it's not going to get any easier.
True.
Because if you don't draft a quarterback and this was just a smokescreen, now you really have Lamar Jackson. Or you can go with what you were doing when Lamar Jackson was out, averaging 13.7 points a game. You do that. Do you like that idea?
Yes, last and
Who are we beating like that, Shady?
nobody.
Who are we beating?
They was 2-4 without him.
And Lamar's not playing on this deal, nor should he.
Right.
So, I don't know. I just thought that press conference was really weird. I understand they're supposed to be talking about the draft, but it was a legitimate question also.
My thing, it is a legitimate question, and I always say that, like, I hate defending.
Don't be the beat reporter guy right now.
I'm defending the PR staff, which I hate to do. Like,
Oh, man.
I don't want to be on the side of PR. But the Ravens have talked about this how many times?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it is the dominant storyline of the offseason in the NFL, maybe all of sports. And they talked about it in January. They talked about it at the Combine. They talked about it a month ago. I mean, I got quotes right here. John Harbaugh, since the season ended, said they're 200% committed to Lamar being their quarterback. Eric DeCosta said trading Lamar Jackson has not factored into their conversations. He said he's optimistic a deal can still get done. How many times do they have to say the right thing? I mean, and at this point, we've known what? I love Lamar so much for doing this. He said the day that John Harbaugh was talking to the media in Phoenix at the owners' meetings, that's when he said he wanted to trade. When John Harbaugh was talking to the media, he threw him out there with about 8 minutes of notice that he had requested a trade, and he had to talk to the media. Like, what else is there to say? There's nothing new. So I don't blame the Ravens for saying, look, guys, there's no developments in this story.
So Lamar shouldn't be offended then. It's just...
I wouldn't be. And as for, the fact that they said they would draft a quarterback in the first round, it's the Baltimore Ravens. I've been saying this since July. If there's an organization that's going to take a forward-thinking attitude about this, it's Baltimore.
True.
They do this stuff all the time. Last year, they drafted a guy who tore his Achilles in the pre-draft process, David Ajabo, the Michigan DN. They drafted a guy they knew wasn't going to play for a year. They drafted Lamar Jackson while Joe Flacco was still on the roster after a winning season. This is a forward-thinking team when it comes to doing stuff like this. So if the value is amazing where they pick, you'd have to be crazy not to consider it.
Lamar's 26.
I believe just turned 26.
You shouldn't be thinking like that at 26. You got a 26-year-old quarterback?
26-year-old quarterback who you can't get to agree to a
First
deal?
of all, what the GM should have said was, no, that's not our plans. Our plans are to sign Lamar Jackson. That's the only thing on our mind. If something else happens, we'll worry about that later. But our main concern is signing Lamar Jackson. That's what you should have said. You're not talking about a regular player here. You're talking about Lamar Jackson. You're not talking about Joe Flacco at the end of his career. You're talking about Lamar Jackson, the best player on your team. So, yes, I think the way he said that was very disrespectful. When you talk about the franchise quarterback, where you're going back and forth about the contract, one thing for sure, they got to get this deal done. And we could talk about getting quarterbacks in the draft. They'll be like the Packers, right? The franchise guy is unhappy. Got this rookie there. He's going to be waiting to play. You don't want to have a dysfunctional organization like we've seen when Joey talks about with some things the Packers does. I just feel like this. Your main concern is Lamar Jackson, not no rookie that you got to train over and over again, develop him. And then who are you going to get at 22? We going to wish to get the kid from Florida? Was Richardson?
Anthony Richardson.
I mean, and I never hate on no rookies. All I'm going to say is this. He's not Lamar Jackson at all. I seen him play in college. Now, he can get better because people can get better. I just want to go with the sure thing. When you have these rookies, you know what you're getting. When you have a player that you've seen on tape, the good, the bad, you know what you have there. Don't play around and go get a rookie. Now you set your franchise back 2 years, 3 years.
Shady, I don't think Lamar should be offended, though. I'm with the phrase and figure of speech, ask me no questions, I tell you no lies. You don't ask, I ain't gonna have to lie.
So that means you always tell the truth?
Nah, just don't ask if you don't want to get that lie.
Saying, if you get the question.
If I get the question, I got to keep it a buck with you. Unfortunately, and sometimes the truth hurts. I believe that's what happened right now with Eric DeCosta. He didn't come out and say, we're going to draft a quarterback. He was like, well, we have several quarterbacks ranked within the top 31. So if a quarterback makes sense when we are picking, I'm paraphrasing, obviously, yeah, we might draft a quarterback. I don't even hate the logic because negotiations are all about leverage. So if you cannot get Lamar Jackson signed, and they believe that they have made to some degree a fair offer, $133 million guaranteed, second to only Deshaun Watson, if Lamar's not willing to take that, then you can't wait till it starts raining to build the ark. You better start building that joint before the rain starts coming. And what they might be doing is building the ark before it starts raining. So Lamar Jackson has to understand those comments aren't even offensive, they're real. What comment has a general manager made this offseason about a quarterback that we have applauded? None.
I was about to say.
Anytime that Brian Gutekunst speaks, anytime that Mark Murphy, these are president and general managers for the Packers, speak, nothing positive. Anytime Woody Johnson, owner of the Jets, speaks, it's not positive. When the Ravens first spoke and John Harbaugh first spoke, it wasn't positive. So what comment can you make that will be deemed as positive?
But the idea that you're going to draft it's even a conversation of drafting a quarterback in the first round. Not in the third round, you say third round or fourth round, the first round. First round draft picks are extremely valuable.
True.
Their offense needs help outside of Lamar Jackson. So for you to use a first round draft pick, particularly a team like Baltimore, on a quarterback, you're saying we're moving on.
Here's what's fascinating, though.
You're certainly not using a first-round draft pick on a quarterback and then signing Lamar Jackson. That makes no sense.
See, but I disagree. And my thought process is like this, Joy. It's like if they were to draft a quarterback like Anthony Richardson, quarterback out of Florida, he would be, of all the quarterbacks, the one that would be available at 21 or 22 because his ceiling is very high, but his floor is basement low. So it's anywhere in between. He would be the quarterback that would be available. He needs time to develop anyway. So if you were to draft a quarterback in the first round, Lamar Jackson's playing on the tag.
You're making a lot of sense right now.
He's currently tagged. If he's not going to accept 133 and he wants Deshaun Watson money and you're not going to budge, you might have to tag him again next year. In which case, he's tagged again. You can't tag somebody 3 times in a row. So if you can't get Lamar Jackson under a deal in the next 700 days, now you have a quarterback who sat for 2 years, who needs to sit anyway, and who would now play.
Who said Lamar is playing under the tag? Who said he's playing?
Great. So if he's not, then you need a quarterback.
Then you have a rookie?
Think about who they had last year.
First-round rookie.
Bingo.
Who you would
Tyler Huntley. Tyler Huntley is an undrafted quarterback.
If I'm Lamar Jackson and you draft a first-round quarterback, it's the end of my time in Baltimore. That's it. And it should be.
But it already is. Because he said he wanted to trade before you drafted a quarterback. So
yeah, but you do that, you get some leverage to get the money you want. Listen, don't play yourself here.
Talk to me.
The Ravens really want to get a deal done with Lamar Jackson.
Sure.
So they say all this stuff to try to, I guess, stir it up a little bit. They get him antsy. Oh, let me sign that deal. No. Lamar wants to play for the Ravens, and the Ravens want Lamar Jackson. Mm-hmm. Don't get that confused. My thing is the way they're going by doing it, like trying to insinuate you want to draft a first-round quarterback when you got Lamar Jackson there?
He didn't insinuate.
Come on, man.
He was asking questions.
But see, listen.
We expect quarterbacks to lie all the time. As a matter of fact, the quarterback is honest. We get on there. Why did you say that? It's called quarterback speak.
But why he didn't have to lie?
He's not a quarterback.
But Dave,
he's general manager.
Why he doesn't say, listen, that's not our concern right now. I'm not even answering that. Our main concern is signing Lamar Jackson. That's it.
Point.
Did you see Harbaugh's face when he asked the question? Come on now. I'm playing with number 8.
It's a draft press conference. That's the whole. Every team does it. They sit down and they talk about what they need, what they're thinking going into a draft. If the value lines up, again, quarterbacks are so valuable. You'd have to be crazy not to at least consider.
What would you do? What would you do? What would you do?
If Anthony Richardson fell to me at 22,
you gonna get him?
They would get him.
And again, fall because the massive expectation is that Anthony Richardson is talented enough to be a top 10 prospect. If he falls to a spot where you never had a chance and you got all this turmoil with Lamar Jackson, on top of that, you guys know this better than anybody. How much do we praise Howie Roseman for being ruthless?
How are we gonna pay his quarterback? How he pays his quarterbacks?
Yes, Joy.
So, Lamar's pretty good.
He's very good.
Yeah.
we don't think he has enough to work with on the offensive side of the ball.
He does not.
What is Anthony Richardson going to do with that Baltimore offense?
He's going to have a much cheaper salary that will enable me to put a better offense around him.
Here's my thing, though, because we talk about it. The Ravens don't have a ton of needs for their roster. I was thinking about it this morning. Sure, but truth be told, their needs are what, 2 wide receivers? Like, that's not a ton.
2, 3? I mean,
Wouldn't you want to use a first-round pick on
a running back?
wide
Think about
receiver?
this. The only team that I know of that has made Odell Beckham an offer this offseason since its workout is the Baltimore Ravens. That's the only team I know of. The Baltimore Ravens drafted a first-round wide receiver who, while he was healthy, and I believe he's healthy now that strength coach is gone, Rashad Bateman. So if you have Odell Beckham and you have Rashad Bateman and you have an overachieving Devin Duvernay, assume you don't have Duvernay. Draft another receiver in the 2nd or 3rd round.
Still got Mark Andrews.
You still have Mark Andrews. Go ahead.
Wait, they don't have Odell Beckham.
No, I'm saying that's the offer that they put out there.
We got to go with what they have. We can't go ifs. Can we do that, please?
But if you don't have to earmark, and we're talking about a world where Lamar Jackson would move on, which I think if that were to happen, I think he eventually would. You don't have to earmark $32+ million for Lamar Jackson.
The Ravens have the worst offensive help in any team. Do you agree with that?
Of the contenders, I agree.
Contenders.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, Giants, but Giants. Yeah, Giants.
The Giants have done a little bit of work this
Their number one receiver.
Got Darren Waller.
Who's the number 1 receiver? Do you guys even know? You probably know.
Baltimore? Oh, shoot.
You may not know.
Is it
I'll say Duvernay.
Devin Duvernay?
No. If you watch him this last go-around, I'll give you a hint. I'll give you a hint.
Who was it?
He got cut from the Chiefs. Then he went to the Raiders, and got cut there. Then he went to Baltimore. He was balling. He beat Eli Apple on the slant and go.
Who, your man Deshaun?
No.
Who? I don't know.
I'll give you a hint.
DeMarcus Robinson.
Okay.
There we go.
Okay, all right. So I played with him in the Chiefs. He's really, really good, but he was like the 3rd or 4th receiver. He came to Baltimore as the number 1. That should tell y'all something, though.
Here's
They need help. I don't dispute that.
D-Rob, my boy, so I want y'all to hate us.
No hate at all. No hate at all. Respect and love from the show.
My boy, that's my boy.
Subscribe here to get the latest from Speak, and go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.